Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the Managing Madrid podcast post-game show here. Lucas Navarrete, your host, taking over this one. Ian Sobani will replace me in Madrid mornings tomorrow. We have Mehedi Hassan live at the Bernabeu, covering this game for us, managingmadrid.com. And before he heads down to the press conference room to cover what Xabi Alonso and Tudor have to say, let's get some of his thoughts and prioritize his thoughts and his analysis on this first segment on the podcast, because timing is a bit of an issue in this case. So, Mehedi, welcome to the show. How did you see the game?
Hey, Lucas, thanks so much. Yeah, it was a great experience covering the Champions League for the first time for Managing Madrid. Great atmosphere. I have covered La Liga and Copa del Rey before, but this was totally different around the stadium in terms of preparation. And even at Valdebebas yesterday, actually, how many journalists turned out for Xabi Alonso's pre-match press conference. Coming to the game, I think Real Madrid had a difficult start to the game. I think the first couple of chances, I wouldn't really necessarily say chances, but good sequences belong to Juventus in the opening 15 minutes. During the halftime break, I was also talking with James Horncastle, the Italian journalist. What did he think about the game? He was also saying that first 15 minutes, it was all Juventus. Then Madrid kind of got more on the ball. But even though Madrid got more on the ball, I think possession was a bit repetitive and a bit predictable. Nothing out of the ordinary was happening. Courtois had to, pull out a save here or there, especially in the second half. The first half, to be honest, was pretty boring. Outside of, I think, one or two chances for Real Madrid. Madrid's best chance probably came from a corner kick and that Mbappe shot that flew over the bar. Apart from that, not a lot to say about the first half. The second half was better, but I wouldn't say like extraterrestrially better. The goal came from a rebound, and Vinicius, like 80% of that goal probably belongs to Vinicius. He did all the hard work, rebound, and then Jude made no mistake to put it in the back of the net. It's good to have Jude back with his scoring boots just before the Clasico. But overall, I think Madrid may have taken things a bit slow intentionally. I don't know. Once they scored the goal, they tried to control the game more, and rather than doubling down on the score maybe. However, Mbappe and who was it, Brahim, I think they got two great chances during that Di Gregorio double save within a second. That was a good sequence. There are a few long shots here and there from Real Madrid players, but man, the injury time, I did not really realize, or I forgot that they don't show what the injury time clock is. So it was just showing 90 plus 5. There was no clock at the time, and Juventus was getting corner after corner. So that's when the crowd was a bit anxious at the time. But other than that, I think well-managed game, 3 points. We move on. We move on to the Clasico. I'm actually just seeing Endrick and Mastantuono are doing their sprints just after the game. That's good to see from the young players. Before wrapping it up from my side, just going back to the atmosphere aspect, Lucas, Juve fans were really loud. They were really loud even before Real Madrid fans got in. They were booing Real Madrid players when they got into when Real Madrid's goalkeepers got into their warm-ups and such. So Madrid fans obviously reciprocated once the stadium got filled up. But all in all, it was a very engaging affair, considering how the fans got involved. Beautiful tifo at the beginning of the game, of course, tribute to Lucas Vazquez. And so, yeah, great game. Kian's gonna cover us for the Clasico. Looking forward to that. That's all from my side, Lucas. I'm going to go to Tudor and Javi Alonso's press conference now and try to see if I can get more.
Yes, sir. Just really quick, 20 seconds if you can.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some frustration on the chat about the team's performance overall. Where do you stand on this? 15, 20 quick seconds about it.
Well, I think it's somewhat justified. The performance, it wasn't a lights out performance. I would say, especially in the second half after Madrid got the goal, it was well controlled. But Juventus didn't really do an awful lot. So they were pretty quiet pretty much the whole game, apart from a few sequences here and there. I expected Madrid to play better on the offense, given the starting 11 that they have put out. Vinicius, outside of the sequence that led to the goal, he was pretty quiet. Mbappe didn't really get into the box as much as you would like him to. Brahim replaced Mastantuono here, but again, he did not really, move me, if I quote unquote. So I kind of get the frustration, especially before the Clasico, because Barcelona like dismantled. I know it's Olympiacos, and we just faced Juventus, one of the best teams in Italy. But in terms of confidence that both of the teams are going to be bringing in the Clasico, I think Barcelona would have better confidence. But then again, Xavi spoke before the game that we want to stay in the top 8. So Madrid are well on track for that. At 3 wins out of 3, we should be making the top 8. But I do get the frustration from the fans, to be honest.
Okay, Mehedi, thanks a lot, man. Enjoy the rest of the night there from the Bernabeu. And see you on the next few shows. Thanks a lot, man.
Take care. Bye.
Yes, sir. All right, thanks to Mehedi for that one. Obviously, very valuable insight from our guys at the Bernabeu. You always notice some new and some different stuff when you're covering the game live at the Bernabeu. I haven't actually had the opportunity to go to the Bernabeu just yet in this new season under Xavi Alonso. My thoughts about this game is that I do get the frustration because you probably wanted a bigger confidence boost ahead of El Clasico. It's true that on one hand, this was the first time against an elite opposition that we got to see the Tchouaméni, Bellingham, and Arda Guler midfield. I thought Arda Guler was phenomenal. We actually didn't talk with Mehedi about his man of the match, who his man of the match was. To me, even knowing that Bellingham scored that goal and that Bellingham completed actually a very brilliant and a very good individual performance, I think Arda was my man of the match in this one. If maybe close battle between him and Courtois for that one, because obviously Real Madrid don't win this game without Courtois being his best self, which he obviously was tonight. But in my opinion, Arda was phenomenal, making sure that Juventus's first 15, 20 minutes, Arda established control of the game for Real Madrid, reestablished and made sure that Real Madrid were at least keeping control of the ball and the tempo of the game for the rest of the game, at least until Bellingham scored that goal. Obviously, Juve went harder for a goal after Bellingham's go ahead goal, but Arda was quite possibly, to me, the biggest reason why Real Madrid were able to, again, make sure that Juventus's first 15 or 20 minutes of the game were not a consistent thing during the rest of the battle of the contest here. So my man of the match in this one is Arda Guler, which is very good to see because I had my concerns about Arda's ability to play as a central midfielder against elite opposition. And granted, this is obviously not the Juventus of all times when they were dominating Italian football and conquering Champions League titles here and there. This is a different Juventus team. I thought Blahovic was phenomenal. Di Gregorio was phenomenal for them as well. So, we should praise Courtois for his performance, but it's also true that Di Gregorio saved a few goals for Real Madrid as well. So I think, goalkeepers quite possibly decided this game, and luckily enough, that Real Madrid goal and that great shot from Vinicius after some brilliant dribbles there. That shot hit the post and ended falling right to Bellingham's lap, who just had to push it the back of the net. But I do have my concerns about right ahead of El Clasico. I have to be totally honest. I don't know what Alonso is going to do with his lineup. You guys, I'm seeing some questions. I will take some of the super chats later on. I'm seeing some questions about mm, the starting lineup in El Clasico and a score prediction. And my honest assessment and my honest take about this is that I have no idea what Alonso is going to do with his starting lineup. First of all, I should acknowledge and I should report that Raúl Asensio left the game with what appeared to be a hamstring injury. A mild one, I suppose, because he was obviously able to walk. But I don't think he will be available in the Clásico. I think that's pretty safe to assume. And if that is the case, and Huijsen doesn't recover in time, Tchouaméni is going to be a center back against Barca. And that's obviously not ideal because while on one hand, Tchouaméni is playing great as a defensive midfielder, even though tonight quite possibly wasn't his best performance. But on the other hand, I don't think Tchouaméni is ideal against Barca's transition offense. They are very quick and vertical when they recover the ball. And both Asensio and Militao are great in that particular aspect of the game. So Asensio was phenomenal as well. I thought he obviously saved a very big chance for Juventus late in the game. Militao was good as well. So it's not, a few individual performances here and there were disappointing. Like, for instance, obviously Mbappe wasn't able to make his mark in this one. Vinicius, apart from that goal, was pretty invisible as well. But other than that, I thought, both Bellingham, Guler, the defenders, Courtois, Valverde was fine. Carreras was pretty disappointing. But, I could say that 75% of the starting lineup actually performed at a good level. But on the other hand, the team didn't. The team didn't establish themselves against, I was going to say, a mediocre Juventus team. Maybe mediocre is too harsh. But definitely this wasn't an elite team or very tough challenge like Real Madrid are going to be facing. For instance, when they face Juventus at Anfield, even though not Juventus, obviously, Liverpool at Anfield, even though Liverpool have been struggling as well recently. But obviously, Barca in the Clásico, Juventus haven't, Staytran says on the chat, Juventus haven't won a game in a month, and they were awfully close to winning one at the Bernabeu tonight. So Blahovic was phenomenal. Very, very difficult to defend tonight. And Courtois ended up winning and rescuing the 3 points for Real Madrid. I'll read you some of the quotes from Courtois, who actually was the Real Madrid player talking to the press on the field immediately after the game. This is quote: "I'm very happy about the win. It was a game full of scoring opportunities for both teams, but we were able to pull it off with a lot of sweat, a lot of effort. This is a very important win against a big team. We have scored 9 points out of 9, and now we head to Anfield and see what happens there." Another quote: "They are Juventus. They are not a small team. When they defend and in a low block and go in transition, it's not easy against them. Maybe we lacked some pace or more width on the wings." Interesting, this aspect Courtois is mentioning. This is, hold on. Quote: "Maybe we lacked pace or more width from the wingers. That's something coach told us at halftime, and we were able to create more danger there later in the game through Vinicius." Defensively, we will have to look at ourselves in the mirror and improve some things for Sunday. This is the next quote is about Blachowicz' counter-attacking opportunity. He says, "Coach wants me to play away from the goal, but in such a great pass. I'm not a quick goalkeeper, and I thought Militao was going to get there. Blachowicz is a great striker, and I'm happy to contribute." Then he praises Bellingham by saying that Vinicius takes the dribbles. Bellingham is paying a lot of attention to the shot. He's reaching his best form, completed a great game. We lacked and missed that second goal, but we are happy about the win. And he obviously also previewed El Clasico in what was the journalist's last opportunity to ask a question to him about El Clasico. Courtois says, both teams are getting there in good form. It's going to be a great game after losing against them last year. This year it will be important for the league title for us to win and create a gap and a difference. It's going to be a great game, and we have to prepare ourselves for that one. That's all Courtois said about after the game. I always think it's interesting for you to get like the last minute quotes from the players. We again, my only tweet about this game, I mostly stay away from Twitter during games now, is my main and biggest takeaway from this particular game is that Arda Guler should not be playing on the right wing ever again for Real Madrid. That's it. Like, he needs to be involved in whatever the team is trying to do on the midfield, in controlling the tempo of the game, creating scoring opportunities, distributing the ball, everything. I think he's the main and most capable creator and controller that Real Madrid have on their midfield line. Let's say that Alonso made a mistake when Real Madrid faced Atlético de Madrid at the Metropolitano, because he deployed Bellingham in the midfield and moved Arda to the right wing. I'm not sure if the Tchouaméni Arda Bellingham midfield is going to work against elite opposition. I'm 50-50 on that, because tonight quite possibly didn't work. I can admit that it didn't work tonight. Juventus had too many scoring chances for me to say that midfield worked, even though the team ultimately got the win. But I think Guler in the midfield is a must for this Real Madrid team. Reports from Real Madrid's camp, I asked Real Madrid's press department about this, and it seems that Asensio just suffered some cramps, and based on the first explorations and the first tests on him, it looks like he didn't suffer a serious injury. I'm not sure whether or not he will actually be able to face Barca on Sunday, because Huijsen is still questionable, and I'm not sure if he'll be able to make it in time. So, good news about Asensio, at least right now. We'll see if these news and these reports are confirmed whenever Asensio gets better medical exploration on this quote-unquote injury that he suffered tonight. But right now, at least, it's good news that he appears to be fine. Let's wait until tomorrow or even Friday to actually assess this properly and see where he's at in terms of his availability for El Clasico. Where do we go from here for El Clasico? It's really tough. Assuming Asensio or Huijsen can go and are available, one of them, just one of them, because Militao will be available. That leaves Tchouaméni as an undisputed starter in the defensive midfielder spot. Let's be totally honest. I think Bellingham is yet another undisputed starter, and then Arda should be as well. What do you guys think about whether or not Real Madrid will be able to deploy the Tchouaméni, Arda, and Bellingham midfield line with Mastantuono or Brahim on the right, Vinicius on the left, and Mbappe up front? It's really tough for me to deploy the Tchouaméni, Bellingham, and Arda midfield line against Barca with a pure right winger like Mastantuono. Mastantuono works hard, but let's be honest, he's not a midfielder. He doesn't do the work as a midfielder. So it's tough. It's a tough fit. You could deploy a 4-4-2, but then you would miss some width from in the offensive line, in my opinion. You would sacrifice definitely some offensive output with a 4-4-2. So it's definitely tricky. Bellingham played and completed a great game. I don't think benching Bellingham for Clasico is an option. I do worry about Bellingham's current fit with Mbappe. I actually worry more about that than I worry about the Mbappe and Vinicius partnership. As you probably know by now, if you are a regular listener of our show, I'm kind of a skeptic about Bellingham's tendencies whenever he's deployed as a midfielder. I think he's at his best when he's able to cross the box like he did tonight. If he plays as a pure centered midfielder with the true defensive presence and true passing and controlling instinct and tendency, he's not. I don't think he's at his best in that particular role. He can be he can be on paper a central midfielder, but if you don't give him the opportunity to cross the box and play kind of as a secondary striker, a false nine even, I don't think he's at his best. I think he has the tendencies and the soul of an attacker, even if he works really hard as a midfielder whenever he's deployed there. It's just a matter of how he fits and how he gels with Mbappe up front. So it's tough. It's a tough fit for Alonso to build this team around Mbappe, Bellingham, and Vinicius, because it's a tricky fit between the three of them when you also have to take care of your midfield line. And now, currently, Valverde isn't able to help in that department because obviously both Carvajal and Alexander-Arnold are injured. Whenever they're back, I think that should improve a little bit, but you would have the same problem because if Valverde is once again moved to the central midfielder role, that means and that leaves Arda for the right wing. And as I mentioned, I think Arda needs to be involved as a central midfielder every single time. Arda needs to be Arda is an undisputed starter as a central midfielder, in my opinion, just as much as Bellingham is. I know in terms of PR, that isn't the case. I know Arda's reputation. It's easier to drop Arda and to move Arda out of that spot in terms of PR. But it's pretty clear to me that Arda is a central midfielder and my main creator. I really think Arda should be the offense should work around Arda's playmaking ability and his passing ability as well. So again, individually, I thought Bellingham was fine tonight. In terms of fit and how the team's structure in the midfield line, it doesn't look that great to me. We'll see where Alonso goes in El Clasico in that regard. I have no clue what he's going to do, but it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task because I fear that Arda ultimately is going to be moved to the right wing, and I don't like that. I don't like that against a team like Barca because you take Arda away from that creator role, and then Barca can establish themselves with control and possession of the ball. So we will have to wait and see about that one. We will have to wait and see about that one. Let me just refresh. Alonso has dropped some quotes on Movistar as well. He's exactly. He says Bellingham deserved to leave the game happily. I'm happy about everyone in general, but especially about Jude. About Asencio, he said it's too early to tell. We have to wait, but I'm optimistic about it. And about El Clasico, he says we will get there in good form. We will be fine. He says it's not like he's predicting a win or anything like that. He just said that we will be ready. That's basically the translation here. He's literally said in Spanish, we will be fine. But, when translated, it's more appropriate to translate it to we will be ready. Arda Guler actually won the MVP of the game. I didn't know this. I thought Bellingham was going to get it. So, yeah, UEFA actually gave Arda the honor and the award, and I think they nailed it. I completely agree with them. Some quotes mentioning that Carreras could play as a center back in El Clasico. I don't see it. I think he was perfectly fine against a team like Levante. I don't see it against Barca. Mainly because that leaves you without your starting left back against a very tough team and a tough player to defend like Lamine Yamal. So you need Carreras against Lamine Yamal. And while I was very excited about Carreras earlier this season, I think his form has dropped a little. I think the honeymoon period has ended a little bit, and now it's time for him to reestablish himself and find a consistency with regards to his form and his performances on the field. Obviously, let's talk about the right backs availability. I don't think Carvajal or Alexander Arnold will make it in time for Clásico. We should definitely assume that Valverde is going to play as a right back in the Clásico. It would be crazy to me to see, even if they're available and they make the squad list, it would be crazy to me to see either Carvajal or Alexander Arnold starting against Barca. It would be like ridiculous. It's not going to happen, guys. Not going to happen. All right, let me take some super chats. Keep them coming if you want me to answer some of your questions. Femi says, thank you, Femi. He says, Camavinga was poor. He had no control of the game. Mostly, it was hard for him to enter the game at that late stage because ultimately Juventus were pushing really hard. And, these teams like Juventus, when they risk it all, they do have the ability to dominate you for 5, 10, 15 minutes while also taking the risks and embracing the risk of, obviously, the opposition can score a goal on them pretty easily if they don't play with more care. But I didn't have that big of a problem with Camavinga. He wasn't brilliant, obviously, but I don't think he truly cost Real Madrid of anything in particular in this one. I think Camavinga will be important over the next few weeks because of rotations and how busy the schedule will be. I would not be so harsh on his individual performance in this one, mostly because Juventus obviously decided to go all in after a goal. And, it's hard to play and enter a game, an intense and physical game in that kind of context. He should be ready. He should know how to be ready for that kind of challenge. But I can admit that it's not easy to enter a game in that kind of context. BR says, thoughts on our defense in each half are the man of the match. Pretty poor. Yeah, the defense. What my main positive takeaway about this early Xabi Alonso tenure was that the defensive line, and the defensive structure had been great. Opposition teams, opposing teams, were not creating chances against Real Madrid, and tonight wasn't the case. Courtois could have easily won man of the match as well. Arda ultimately got it, but it could have easily been Courtois. Real Madrid don't win this game without Courtois, and that's obviously something that obviously means that your defensive performance and your defensive stability and structure has to improve. Against Barca, if Real Madrid put this kind of effort defensively, the team is going to struggle, almost certainly. And Barca have their own defensive vulnerability and defensive struggles. Like it could easily be a shootout between the two teams, but Real Madrid have the ability and the personnel to play defensively way better than they did in this particular game. I think Barcelona have more of an excuse considering their injuries. Real Madrid have injuries of their own with Hoysen out, Carvajal and Trent out. I get this, but I think Barca have thinner, even a thinner defensive line than Real Madrid. So Real Madrid should play better defensively than Barca on Sunday. Also because they're at home. Real Madrid are at home, so I have to expect and hope that the team will complete a better defensive effort than they did tonight, because obviously what happened tonight you don't want to see often. And if you're getting that kind of defensive effort on a consistent basis all throughout the season, you are going to drop points quite often. Ed Sylvester says a scoreline prediction for the Clasico. Let's go 3-2 for Real Madrid. The game will probably be decided by whoever is more clinical with their scoring chances. And obviously Courtois is a better goalkeeper than Chesney. So that's why I'm taking my chances with Real Madrid. Again, the performances Real Madrid have completed against elite opposition since Alonso took over aren't that great, but I have to be confident about it. I think Barca are not playing great. Real Madrid aren't either, but Barca struggled quite a lot against Girona at home. So I'm taking Madrid 3-2. And Curioti Bordolois says side-to-side passing, no incisiveness into the box. Look, the Real Madrid vertical days are kind of over. You can definitely see that Alonso likes to control the tempo of the game, especially when you are kind of dominating the opposition. On one hand, it's always very dangerous because whenever you have a turnover or you lose the ball, the opposition is going to enjoy a very big scoring opportunity like Vlahovic did early in that second half. But I can see why Real Madrid are at least trying to keep control of the ball with the personnel they have. For years, I was complaining about the team's lack of ability to control and dominate the tempo of the game with players like Luka Modric and Kroos starting for them. Whenever I saw Real Madrid giving up on the possession battle, I went crazy, because how do you decide to lose the possession battle with players like Kroos and Modric? So I'm for a more offensive version of Real Madrid, if that means taking advantage of the midfielders you have. And I think trying to maximize, like, if you're going to give up on controlling the ball, Arda is kind of useless. Like, yeah, he can deliver a few assists here and there in transition, like Ozil did in the past with Mourinho. But I kind of like him better when he's distributing the ball and controlling the tempo of the game. So I kind of defend this approach that Alonso has been trying to implement, even though right now it isn't working at its best. That's something I obviously admit. And Curiotti, another one from him. Thanks a lot. My predict lineup. Okay, let's see. Courtois, Valverde, Militao, Carreras, and Fran. So Carreras as a center back, assuming Asensio and Huijsen cannot go, I guess. Then Tchouaméni, Arda Guler, Franco, Mbappe, and Vinicius. Yeah, the back line is an issue. The back line is an issue if Asensio and Huijsen cannot go for a Clasico. We'll see what happens, but you have to hope for the best, especially after these last reports indicating that Alonso was kind of optimistic about Asensio's so-called injury. So yeah. Last super chat. Alberto Vitar says, handball at its finest. Look, I get the frustration, guys. I get the frustration. I think it was a 50-50 game. I wouldn't say that Real Madrid got lucky and escaped with a win here. If we take a look at the stats, 10 shots on target for Real Madrid, 4 shots on target for Juve. Possession 66% for Real Madrid, 33 for Juve. But just by looking at shots on target, I think you can pretty easily tell that Real Madrid deserved to win this one. And again, granted, this is not an elite Juventus team. I admit this. But on the other hand, a win is a win, and you need to take these wins when you are not performing at your best. It's the players had a really tough game against Getafe on Sunday. They probably expected an easier game than it was, and then right now they probably expected an easier game against Juve as well. But Juve played a hell of a game, so a win is a win. And right now, Real Madrid have won each and every single one of their games, with the exception of the Atletico fiasco and the Atletico. The Atletico fiasco. So the team has to be better against elite opposition, but on the other hand, the floor is high enough that right now it's allowing the team to beat good and quality teams, even though they are not performing at the highest level. And Mbappe has a lot to do with this, with his scoring ability. But tonight it wasn't the case. Tonight, Mbappe didn't bail Real Madrid out. It was Vinicius, and this happens when you have superstars. And I get that some people say, "Oh, you were very critical of Ancelotti's tenure when the team was escaping with these kinds of wins. Why are you not so critical of Xabi Alonso?" First of all, I think the team was struggling a little bit more with Ancelotti in these particular games. Again, however you want to put it, Real Madrid deserved to win tonight. I just read you the stats. So that's one thing. And the other is, I think the floor is higher with this in this team than it was with Ancelotti. I can see this team consistently beating smaller or manageable opposition. My concern comes with elite opposition. We will have another opportunity to test and examine and monitor where this team is at on Sunday. But until then, you have to be somewhat satisfied about consistently getting these wins and consistently taking care of business on a week in and week out. Anyway, guys, this is all I have for you today. It's almost midnight here in Spain already. It was a long day for me. Hoping you enjoyed the show. Again, stay tuned to our feed, because Kian is covering for me on Madrid Mornings tomorrow. We kind of traded shows for this week, but we will be back. Kian will be covering the El Clasico at the Bernabeu, and obviously we will have more content for you to preview and recap El Clasico as well. Head to managingmadrid.com to get also the latest news about Asensio, Huijsen, even Carvajal and Alexander Arnold, and their availability for El Clasico. quotes, player ratings, everything about this game you have there on the website. Don't forget about the website. We have tremendous quality content, the website, written content. So thank you guys for following the podcast, but don't forget about our site, because I think the quality of the content we write and put there is also tremendous. And I'm certain of the fact that if you enjoy these shows, you will definitely enjoy our written content. So yeah, remember to like and subscribe, as Timmy and BR are saying on chat, and see you guys on the next few episodes.